So discuss the topic called subqueries. So what is the query? Query is nothing but questioning. Means when you ask for something, the database will return something. Okay. If you want to ask database for specific information, you have to write a query. You have to write a query. So we can write any number of queries, no problem for the database. If it is a valid query, we'll get the output. Otherwise, we'll get the error. So subquery means if you write a query inside another query, you can call it as subqueries. Subqueries means a query inside a query. Query inside a query. See an example. Select star from employee where employee ID equal to select EMP ID from DEPT. సో ఇక్కడ చూడండి, ఇక్కడ ఇష్యూ ఏంటి అంటే ఫస్ట్ దిస్ వీ కెన్ కాల్ as a subqueries. సో హియర్ subquery అంటే ఏది subquery ఇక్కడ? దిస్ ఈజ్ కాల్డ్ ద subquery. So subqueries are used to get information from one table and showing into another table. So ఇక్కడ చూడండి ఏం చేస్తున్నాం మనం ఫస్ట్. So what we are doing here, we are displaying all the columns information. Select star means all the columns information from EMP table. When I have to display all the columns information, whenever the EMP ID in employee table, EMP table is equal to any employee ID from department table. Any employee ID from department table. It means what first will happen here? First, this query first will check for the inner query. This is called the subquery. First, it will execute the subquery. What is the subquery here? The subquery will take all the employee IDs from DEPT table. Then it will compare those employee IDs with the EMP table employee ID. If both the employee IDs are similar, then it will display the information from the EMP table. See an example. Last section we have seen. So let us take an example of these tables. Here, see this table. So in this table, we have employee ID, name, designation, salary, and city. Okay. If I have another table, that is DEPT. It contains EMP ID, then the DEPT ID, DEPT name, and the EMP ID. For example, 101, let me 202 or 200, 201, 202. So here department is, for example, let us say it is a sales. Here it is a production. Here it is a training. So here let us see an example of employee is 104. Here is employee is 104. Here is employee, sorry. Here is employee 102. Here is the employee is 101 or 105. See what exactly the query we are asking. What is the query here asking here? Select employee. What is the table here we are using? The table name is EMP. Select star from EMP where we have to select where EMP ID equal to, here we have EMP IDs. What are the EMP IDs here? We have 101, 102, 103, 104, and 105. So where EMP ID equal to, started, select EMP ID from DEPT. So this in this query, we can call this as a subquery. So whenever you execute a query, first it will execute the subquery. What is the subquery here? Select EMP ID from DEPT. So it will take all these things, 104, 102, and 105. And now it will compare with EMP ID in EMP table. What are the EMP IDs in EMP table here? 101, 102, 103, 104, 105. So here first it will check for the first one. There is no 105, 101 is not matched here. So here we have 101, we don't have 101 here. So it will not show the 101 record. Here we have 102, here we had 102. So 102 will be displayed. Here we have 103, we don't have 103 here. It will not display. We have 105, here we have 105. 105 will be displayed. Here we have 104, 104. So what happened here? It will display all the columns from the EMP table of the records 104, 102, and 105 because we have only that employee ID matches with EMP table EMP ID and DEPT table EMP ID. So this is the logic. So what will happen here? First, the inner query, that is called the subquery, will execute and will take all the employee IDs from the DEPT table, and then it will compare those employee IDs with EMP table employee IDs. If both employee IDs are matched, then it will display the record from the EMP table. So what is the output here? Let us see. I will copy again here. I will copy here. And the output will be, here see we have 104, 102, so we don't have 101. So we did the 101 will not available. This will not display. So same way 103 also not displays. So we'll get only 102, 105, and 104 records. This is the concept of subqueries. This is the concept of subqueries. It is used to get the information from multiple records, multiple tables. So here see, I am using the EMP table and also DEPT table. So this is the advantage of this one. See, if I use like this EMP ID greater than, select the EMP ID from DEPT. What will happen here? So the concept here is EMP ID greater than, select EMP ID. So means that whatever the EMP IDs are 102, 105, 104, and 105. So it will, this will be a problem. Then what you have to do? You can do like this. Max EMP ID. So what will happen? First, the inner query will be executed. What is the inner query concept? Maximum of EMP ID. What is the maximum of EMP ID? Here is 105. So if 105 is equal to, if a 105 record that is a DEP table is matched with any record in the EMP ID table, yes, it is matching here, then we don't have this record. We'll have only finally the record that is 105. So what happened here? In the inner query, it looks for the maximum employee IDs. So that is the 105 here. So only we'll get the 105 record from the EMP table. So this is the concept of subqueries. In examination point of view, they may ask number of subqueries to write number of subqueries. Here we have given one table, two tables, EMP table, DEP table. In examination point of view, they may give themselves different tables and ask for different queries. You have to prepare to write these queries. So subqueries is nothing but the queries which will have information, which will provide some information that is useful for the main query. That is useful for the main query. Sir, can I write multiple subqueries? Yes, you can write any number of multiple subqueries. That is your wish. There is no specification that you can able to run only one subquery. You can write multiple subqueries. That is your issue. Okay. This is the concept of subqueries. So subquery is nothing but a query. It is also a query. It will return something, but that will useful for main query. That will useful for the main query. This is the concept of subqueries. This is the concept of subqueries. So why I am telling the subqueries means that without having the knowledge on the subqueries, you cannot understand the further queries, further the process here. So here, this is about the concept of subqueries. Then we can go for some options, operators that are called any operator, all operator, any operator, all operator, exist operator, not exist operator. Any operator, all operator, exist operator, and non-exist operator. Let's see some examples here. Select example, I will write this. Select, I query like this. Select product name. Select product name from products where product ID, where product ID equal to all, here I will subquery, I'm writing subquery. Select product ID from order details where quantity equal to 10. Quantity equal to 10. See, this is the subquery using the operator any. Sorry, using the operator, see, we'll see with any first. Otherwise, we will go with all. Okay, we'll see with all operator. So here, what is the output of this subquery? Queries we'll discuss. The main query is asking about the product name. We have to display only the product name from product table. So it means we have the table product and they need the information of the product names only. So out of how many columns we don't may have in the product table, but we need to display only one column, that is the product name. Okay. When I have to display the product name column, go for the subquery. What is the subquery here? If select the product ID from order details where quantity equal to 10. So it means that in order details table, if you have a quantity column and it contains the value 10, in order details table, if you have a quantity column and it contains the value 10, then it will take the product ID where the quantity equal to 10 and compare with the product ID in the product table. Then it will display the product name. Means that simply, if we found any product ID in order details which have quantity 10 in the order details table, and it is matching with the product ID which is in the product table, then we have to display the information about the product name. Simple. So you can write any queries. For example, you can here also write this one, same thing. See here, we can write like this example, select name from EMP where product, sorry, not product here. So where emp id equal to all of select emp id from DEPT table where we have what we got DEPT id equal to 200. So simple. See the logic here. We'll compare the logic here. I will copy here. You can understand better. See, this is the tables we have. See, I'm writing this query here. See, compare now with both the tables. So we have the DEPT table as we have the DEPT table and we have EMP table together. So in DEPT table we have the data like this. Okay. In the EMP table we have all the data here in the above section. Now, what is my question query here? Sorry. First, go for the subquery. What is the subquery? I have to take the EMP ID from DEPT table where DEPT equal 200. So here the DEPT equal 200. So in the where the DEPT 200, I am taking the employee, that is 104. Okay. Now I am checking that whether this 104 is also available in EMP ID table or not. Yes, check it here. So yes, 104 is here. Now I am asking to display the name. So what is the name here? It is E. So the output, ultimately the output is E. So here the name is E. This is simple output. So what we are doing exactly here, first we are executing the subquery. It will returns records or tuples which have the department ID equal to 200. We have only one person who have the department ID 200. His employee ID is 104. Now I will check the person who is with the employee ID as 104 in the EMP table. Yes, he has 104 in the EMP table, and I am displaying the name as E here. The output out is this one. So let us see here. I have it down. So if I have this is also 200. What happens now? Here the subquery returns two rows. Subquery returns two rows. One row is 104 employee ID and another row is 105 employee ID. Then we'll go have two outputs. One is E and second one is DD. Next one is D. So this is simple. This is all the concept of subqueries. So this is the when you use all means it will take all the records from the subquery. All the records from the subquery. If in the same case, if you use any, means that if any one of the record is okay, then it will display. Here the subquery tells that if you want to take all the records, then you can use all. If you take any one of the records, then you can use any. So the difference between the any operator and or the operator. See. So this is about any operator and all of. So all operator will take all the records from the subquery, where any operator takes specific records from the subquery. So this you have to remember. And next one, exist and not exist. Exist and not exist. So what is exist means if the record exists in the subquery, then it has to display. If the record does not exist in the subquery, that is not exist. Existing means if the subquery returns a row. If subquery returns a row. Not exist means if subquery doesn't return any row. So see an example here. Select supplier name from supplier table, where the condition here where exists, where exists. What exists? I'm writing the subquery. Select product name, product name from products, product name from product, where products, where products dot supplier ID equal to suppliers dot suppliers ID and price equal to 22 rupees. So don't get confused. Simple logic. First go for the inner query. Inner query, what exactly telling that? Select product name. So we have to select the product name from product table only. And when we have to select, in the case where the supplier ID, where the supplier ID is supplier ID, sorry, supplier ID is same in both the tables, supplier and product. So means that here we have to check first one, whether the supplier ID is same in both the tables, suppliers and product. Okay, both the same. Then is the price is 22 rupees or not? Yes, the price is also 22 rupees. Means that the product price is 22 rupees and both table we have the same, the supplier ID. Then the query is, the subquery returns the product name. Then now we have to display the supplier name where the product is matched here. So simple logic, don't get confused. Let us think about the supplier table contains like this. Supplier ID, supplier name, let us suppose product name. So these three tables, these three columns are in the supplier. Okay. In the next table is product table. Next one is product table. So product tables, let us see, it contains product ID, product name, supplier ID. Next one, price. So this, see here, the first query is here, both the supplier IDs are same or not? Yes, let us assume that same. Otherwise, I will give some data also for better purpose. For example, supplier ID is one and the supplier name is RAS, product name is PC, and second row, second supplier, sorry, supplier number 2, some DAS, and they are providing the product names are some, for example, mobiles. Supplier number 3, some, for example, Apple. They provides laptops. See, this is the supplier's information. Then they come to the point of products. So product ID, for example, 1002. Product name is PC. And supplier ID is equal to some 1. Okay. Next one. 1003 product ID. Some mobile. Supplier is 2. Now, this is a simple thing. First, let's go to the question now. What is the question here? Whether both the suppliers are matched or not. Yes, see here. Here we have supplier ID 1, 2 in this table, and we have here 1, 2. So both are matched. Okay. Next question is, and price is 22. So here I have to mention the price also. For example, this is 50 rupees. This is 22 rupees. So see, first it is looking for the supplier ID. So we have similar supplier IDs 1 and 2 in both the tables. So 2 records is retrieved. Out of the 2 records, the price is 22 for only 1 record. That is mobiles. So the product ID is 1003 and product name is mobile. So now the ultimate output here for the subquery is, what is the output for the subquery? Mobile. The output of the subquery is mobile. Now select the supplier name from supplier where exists. Means that from the suppliers table, I have to get the supplier name. So which supplier name? The subquery output is mobile. So I have to display the supplier name who supplies mobile. So here's the supplier name here for the mobiles. Who is the supplier name for the mobiles? Is DAS. So ultimately the output for this one is, the output for this one is DAS. Simple. So what exactly we are doing is, first we are executing the subquery. As per the subquery, what we are asking is, we have to get the product name where the supplier ID is matched. So here we have supplier ID matched with the 2 people, 1 and 2. But in the second condition, price, we have to think about the price. Price 22 is only for 1 record, that is 2. So finally, who are the product ID is 2, who are the supplier ID is 2, that is the match record. For the supplier ID 2, the product is mobiles. So let us see in the first table that who are the manufacturers or who are the suppliers for the product mobile. So that is the DAS, the ultimate output is DAS. In this way, we can write multiple subqueries, whatever you want. Okay. So you can ask also like this, the supplier ID, comma. Then what we'll get? We'll get 2 things. Supplier ID is 2 and name is DAS. See here, the output is correct or not? Supplier ID is 2 and product supplier is DAS. Simple. This is how we can write the subqueries. When you keep on practicing more and more subqueries, you can easily understand. Today also I will post some exercise for you to get out of the subqueries. How can you write the subqueries efficiently? Okay.